So we are here to talk about some amazing stuff, and I want to introduce my panelists, if that's okay. First, I'm Mike Olson. I'm with Basis. I've been here 19 years, which is crazy to be at one ad tech company for that long. And I appreciate these individuals very much. We sponsor worldwide partners for the better part of 5 years now. John Harris is a good friend of mine, and we love supporting independent agencies. So with us, we're going to start with Jean Freeman, the principal and CEO of Zambezi. Jean traced her path from Fallon, Minneapolis to Nike, and then, let me zoom in, to launch of Zambezi with co-founder Kobe Bryant. That's awesome. She weathered the 2008-2009 financial crisis and grew Zambezi into a leading women-owned agency. She co-founded Own It in 2021, a network that now includes more than 600 women-owned shops because less than 1% of agencies in the industry are owned by women. Looking ahead, Zambezi is developing a proprietary AI model to help mid-market brands scale towards enterprise level. Recent wins includes Anna Kendrick for LPL Financial and a branded content series with Caitlin Clark for the ESPN and State Farm docuseries Full Court Press, which earned a Sports Emmy nomination. That's incredible. Welcome, Jean. Please, round of applause for her. Next up, Dooley Tombras, right here to my right. Dooley is the third generation of Tombras family leadership, becoming president in 2018. Under his leadership, Tombras has been named a Fast Company Most Innovative Company in the World and Ad Age Agency of the Year. He drives the Tombras culture of connecting data and creativity for business results, which has produced numerous client Cannes Lions and Effies. Most recently, Tombras acquired Opinionated, a Portland agency known for working with Adidas, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Hinge, which will transition to Tombras West in 2027. Tombras, family-owned since 1946, took pride in being the only agency that's scaling without outside investment. Awesome. Welcome, Dooley. And last but not least, Stephen Brown, CEO of Fuse Create. Stephen has spent 23 years building Fuse Create into one of Canada's leading independent agencies, doubling the business in 5 years, expanding into the U.S. market, and walking away from 2 serious acquisition conversations. Full-scale rebrand in May 2020 saw the name change to Fuse Create, the appointment of a creative department, and the implementation of a fully integrated offering. Fuse Create is a member of Worldwide Partners, one of the world's largest networks of independent agencies across 40 countries, which gives them access to global markets and resources. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you very much.
We also played golf last year, and it was really fun. Brought your son out to Colorado, so anyone wants to play golf with me, please come play golf. We love to do it. All right, so we're going to start off really quick, framing this up. Jean, I'm going to come at you with the first question. I hope that's okay.
Sure.
Independence is often described as a competitive advantage, but in a world where holding companies are getting leaner and more agile, what does independence actually mean today that it didn't 5 years ago?
Well, I think if you really see the landscape, as we obviously know, is changing so rapidly, and I think there's never been a better time to be an independent agency than in the last 5 years. I think coming out of COVID, it really gave a lot of, long-time executives that have been in this industry building brands at the benefit of holdcos to really give them the courage and the opportunity to go out on their own. I think coming out of COVID, you saw business ownership spike in ways that we haven't seen in 40 years in the U.S. And then, of course, what we're seeing from a standpoint of with IPG and Omnicom on the merger front. And I really think specifically for creative agencies, there's never been a better opportunity to be an independent agency. They've been prioritizing really more aspects of the business, and creative, I think, truthfully, is going to continue to show it is from a business investment perspective going to be something that brands are going to continue to need.
I love that answer. And Dooley, acquiring the agency on the West Coast, what do you think about the same thing? Because you're acquiring and still independent.
Well, I think making an acquisition as an independent is sort of indicative of what the real advantage is. I mean, when you think about independent versus holdco, it's really always come down to independents are more nimble, they can be faster, and then you control your own destiny and you get to decide what you want to invest in. And frankly, I think that was less of an advantage to be independent, pre-2007, and then it's become better and better to be an independent. And then if you think about all the creative destruction that's happening right now with AI, it's arguably the best time, as Jean said, ever to be an independent, because the speed of innovation is so fast. It's hard for a legacy holding company to keep up with that. and it's difficult to decide what to invest in. So it's pretty exciting right now.
I love that. And Stephen, as you continue to build out practices, how do you maintain the nimbleness that Dooley is talking about?
I will say that's one of my biggest fixations in general is the speed. You never want to be known as the fast agency, but you need to be a fast agency. It's kind of like it's not a positioning statement, but the clients are actually looking for great work, incredibly creative work, incredibly strategic work. But if you can be faster than the other ones, it really works to your advantage. I don't know if there's a secret sauce. I think it is the entrepreneurial spirit of how we probably live our lives and how we cascade that down. So we use a term, possibilitarians. It's kind of like, we didn't invent the word. It's not really a word, but it's the culture of the business is we want you to see the possibility in everything. And so it's more of a yes culture, not yes to everything your client wants, but yes, let's find a way. And that is sort of our cultural way of making sure that the agility, the speed, the flexibility to our clients is paramount right in the front. So it doesn't, as an independent, you have to show up strong, you have to show up mighty and fight hard. But if you can get it a bit faster, if you can get the team hustling, the clients feel that energy, and that really works well.
As we talk about scale then, Dooley, I'm going to come to you with this question if you don't mind. So scale sometimes is a knock on independence, right? How are you building the capabilities, whether in data technology or global reach, without losing what makes you different?
Well, I think that there's a misconception that if you're an independent, that when you get bigger, you get worse. And there's obviously like a famous quote from Jay Chiat back in the day when Chiat Day was the largest independent. And he asked the question, he was like, how big can we get before we get bad? And I think the answer is that as long as you remain independent and you're a creatively driven company, you can scale infinitely, because most people would say Wieden & Kennedy is probably the best independent agency in the world. And they're one of the largest, if not the largest. They have 1,200 people. So if they got big without becoming bad, why shouldn't we be able to become large? I don't think there's anything noble about being small. I do think there's something noble about being independent. So we want to be independent, but we'd like to be quite large.
Gene, I'm going to ask you the same question. I like that answer. Feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I think Worldwide Partners is a great example of the opportunity for independent agencies to continue to expand their business in ways where they see their future going. We joined Worldwide Partners specifically because of the global reach. We were starting to have going from US-based clients to global clients, really more on the creative side. So for us, that was the reason why Worldwide Partners was a great choice. But I think, we use the network in different ways, whether it's from specialties that we don't have, as well as emerging, technology and things and more specifications of things that are changing. So I think, and I agree with you, I don't like bigger is not necessarily better. And
it's not necessarily worse either.
It's not necessarily worse, but I think, Wieden & Kennedy is an anomaly. And so that was a kind of a pun, maybe not, but, I think we all admire what Wieden has done to have that kind of be the beacon for independence and how you can do it. And there's also just not one exact way to do it too.
I'm hearing scale in terms of maybe when we talk about global reach and that kind of thing. Do you think of scale differently?
Well, I would say first and foremost, too small is a problem. So no matter what, while the appetite for independent agencies is great, there is thresholds that the clients are looking at. So for me, scale helps. So I've gotten it to a certain size. I'm looking to get it even the next size with 2 acquisitions, because I'm seeing right now the appetite's the best it's ever been, which is excellent. But you're still competing. I'm competing against a lot of 300-person agencies, and I'm 80 people. So they do look at that, and they look at the budget capacity of their size, like especially procurement. So I don't look at it as I don't worry about the speed or the agility of it. I look at it as it's a competitive advantage being independent, but you can't be too small. And so it does help to have that heft. The heft can come in different ways, like unique strategic partnerships. It can be with partners through the network that we have, or it can actually be what we build ourselves. But we have to be pretty creative on it. But they want to see some heft, and they want to see the machine and the size behind you to make sure that you can deliver on some big global questions. questions, big global tasks.
So for anyone that wants to answer, does scale mean capability? Is that what that word is a euphemism for in the agency world, or are we thinking about it differently?
I think sometimes it's capability for clients, but I think more often clients are risk adverse and they want to go with an independent. And the reason you want to go with an independent is it might be a more creative solution and you get to work directly with founder owners, but you don't want to risk your job if you're a CMO. I mean, what's the lifespan of a CMO? The stat's always changing, but it's about 3 years. And to Stephen's point, it's fun to work with an 80-person founder owner. It's maybe a little scary and risky to work with an 18-person founder owner.
I also think, like all businesses, we need to view our agencies in that same light of there's periods of things where you are and then where you're going to. So for, our examples, like we started as a sports and entertainment expert, but really it was more from our founding. We didn't have that expertise until we realized we really needed to have that in order for the business to be sustainable for us to then really stand out in the marketplace. With that expertise allowed scale to happen. So going from a 15-person agency to a 75-person agency, which at that point allowed us to invest in other capabilities. I think from a standpoint of we built a media practice, we built a production studio, and I think the thing that's been unique about Zambezi is we've done it with our own reinvestment back into the business. We've not done that through an M&A process. And so that I think has now expanded what we can do and other things we can sell. And I think one of the interesting things that we've seen within the past year is now over 70% of our clients are using more than 2 of our services. So now then it becomes the aspect of what else? Are we talking about AI from an AI production standpoint? We're starting to kind of model that out of what that looks like. But I think ultimately it's about capabilities because the marketplace is changing so quickly and we have to respond to it with services appropriately.
I saw you doing the microphone. I think you have a thought too.
I really think the non-negotiables for me are the fundamentals of the agency. So it's not about services. Scale for me is the strategy, the creative, the client relationship, that triad. And now we've added media in the last 5 years. For me, that's the fundamentals. So for me, scale, I need that to get bigger. I need those core components of that's the consulting relationship we have with clients, the trust of the brand conversations, all those things. That to me is where scale has to grow to a certain level. And then services are offering me avenue into other doors, avenue to get 2 pieces of the business or 3 pieces of the business. So I would say it's a combination of both where I've added media, I'm now adding PR. I have had XM and digital my whole career. Like those are the ways we've been adding it on, but it really is that fixation on the core product, which is the creative and strategy.
I love what you say, core product. I have an old mentor that taught me what you say no to defines you. So what are some things that you, and maybe you don't want to share it, you don't have to, but I find this question provocative. What will you always say no to? What will you not offer?
Oh, what I always say no to, I thought you were asking another way, which is RFPs that come to me that are purely price-driven procurement plays. I don't touch them. We've been spending a lot of time trying to train my team on we're interviewing the client at the same time they're interviewing us. And so they have to have a need for a partner, not a price vendor. And you can spot it pretty fast, pretty early. So I'm not sure if that's the question.
That is the question. That's great. I mean, that's a strong no for you. What's a strong no for you?
I would say 2 years ago, experiential was a no. We would partner with best-in-class partners. I think now the way that we've threaded that needle is through the media lens. A lot of media also has an experiential component to it. So then using our media vendors and publishers in order to execute. So I was a no, then a yes. So it's a half answer.
I like that. Anything for you?
I would say we look for fame, fortune, and fun. And the more that something checks those boxes, we're going to say yes. And the more it doesn't, we might say no.
Cool. I like that a lot. Okay, so I think a lot of people in the room, we always talk about new business. That's the health of a bloodline of any company. Where are you winning against holding companies in new business, and what is driving those wins? We'll start over here.
Well, I mean, we were saying earlier, right, that there's never been a better time to be an independent. I think the Omnicom IPG merger did us a lot of favors, because there were a lot of clients that literally hired an agency And then they woke up and found out not only did the team from the pitch no longer exist, their agency didn't even exist. I mean, like big agencies like Mullen Lowe literally overnight no longer existed, and clients just get an email that's like, hey, here's your new account executive Bill at McCann or Chiat Day. And if you're a client, you're probably thinking, oh shit. And obviously they took care of the really, really big clients, the State Farms, the AB InBevs, et cetera. But if you're a mid-cap, publicly traded company or PE-owned brand, you may have gotten a really bad deal there, and then you didn't walk away with a bad taste in your mouth about Omnicom. You most likely walked away with a bad taste in your mouth about holding co's, and you said, well, the agency I hired no longer existed. I'm not going to stick it out here. I'm going to go talk to an independent. So I think we're seeing a lot of those ricochet opportunities right now.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
Gene.
it's the same. I totally agree. I mean, we were included in 2 pitches earlier this year, literally with that same thing, where clients did not know who their account lead was the next day, which is like, we're in the communications industry, and it's just it's bonkers to me. I don't even understand how that happens, but I think that's going to continue to accelerate from specifically creative, which is great for independent agencies.
We're having, like you guys, we're having good success on the win rate. But I think one of the biggest things we've been excellent at is, I think the holding companies still wait for the large RFPs and wait for the cycle, and we try to avoid it. Now, doesn't mean we don't answer them, don't get me wrong, but I always say that advertising is the sort of the front gate of the front doors of a big nightclub, and there's a bunch of bouncers there, and there's a whole bunch of people lined up. We try to go through the staff door. And the staff door is just with a network with people you've built relationships with, and also the alternative services that we have. Often you can get in through an exam arm, or you can get in through media, or you can get through other ways and just start working on the business. And once you're in, then all of a sudden, oh, you do all this social, great if you do this. So it's kind of like you don't want to let us in the staff door if you're another agency, but that's the way. We don't always just wait for the big RFP. So,
Stephen, I'm coming back your way because with new biz and if it's hot in here, it feels hot in here. We might have the AC off for a reason, but I'm just letting you know.
This is the Basis Oasis. Right? It feels better in here than it does out on the Crozet.
Just letting you know, it feels warm. If it feels warm, I feel warm. Want to let everyone know that too. So the agencies that people want to work with, and I talk to a lot of brands too, are often independents. The holding companies can outbid you though on talent. So when we talk about culture and talent, how are you winning with talent right now? Not the new business, but winning on capturing good talent. And we'll start back over here with you, Stephen.
Maybe I'll just give you a recent example as an answer versus a theory. I had a woman approach me who's a very senior executive on the PR side, and it's an area we wanted to invest in. And she asked someone to make an introduction. We had a coffee, and it was immediate connection that this woman would be great to hire, and she'd be a great leader in PR. But she was at an agency, her former agency was much bigger than we are. So I just said to her, before we go to the next round of discussions, this is my bank range that I'm working with. And so if you want to keep the conversation going, feel free. And I knew I wasn't hitting her salary, but I was getting close. And we also do bonuses and a lot of other things and potential ownership shares. So she immediately said, happy to keep talking. And so my way of dealing with it is, I know I can't always outbid, but I can also say, this is the team that we've built. This is what we're looking to do. This is the growth you're going to be part of. And this is the team that is not encumbered by rolling up numbers monthly to these groups. And this, this is the team who's going to do it. So you just put on the table exactly where you stand, but they know, she worked at a previous private, privately held, and then went public and wanted to come back to private. But so my theory is just be direct with them. This is what you're getting, but if we can't afford them, I want that conversation to end right now. But they know that there's those jobs, presidents of 100-person agencies aren't just dripping around right now. So look for the longer term opportunity. So we do not have a talent acquisition problem, and we do not have a talent retention problem. That seeps out in the news. That's why she wanted to be introduced to me, and you go from there. So we just played our advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that actually, I think independents have the talent advantage right now, because I think from us, comp is as part of the package, of course, it needs to be, but it's creating great work. It's actually working with the clients, working with great people. We, from a standpoint, at what we do at Zambezi is help build billion-dollar brands, making their brands as high performance as their products and services. And so that applies to our team too. Like A players want to work with A players. And so when it's positioned in that way, that is a really big motivator. And I also think we do stress the team mentality a lot. And people need to know who their team is in order for that great work to happen. And so, but I think we were at an industry event earlier this year, and it was shocking how much the women that worked at large holding companies, how much fear and anxiety and just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I mean, these are senior award-winning executives. And so that was, I think, really eye-opening for us, viewing it through the lens of independence.
I mean, I think that when you're in the ad agency business, you're really in the talent business. And this is very timing because two of my top executives that used to work at holding co's just walked in the door. Hey, Denise. Hey, Lindsay. Good timing here. And I mean, look, when it comes down to talent acquisition, right, I think culture is what matters. And the holding co's have seeded their culture a lot. You need to have pride in the jersey that you're going to put on. And I think people used to have pride in, like, I work at GSD&M. And then you wake up one day and your email no longer says, Joe at gsdnm.com. It says Joe at omnicom.com. And then talk about your pride in your agency going away if your agency name disappears, like a J. Walter Thompson or something. And so I think as an independent agency, it's all about creating the brand and the culture to be magnetic for the top talent. And then that's a flywheel, because when you get the top talent, you do better work, that attracts better brands, which makes you more magnetic. And that's pretty much the formula.
Does anyone have a stat on the churn rate or the retention rate of employees on independents versus holdco agencies? Because I don't. I would just love that stat. No,
we could
search that
consult
later.
AI. I have seen stats before, but I mean, some of the numbers I've seen, it's over 2x. Like I think the average holdco only keeps employees like less than 2 years, and I think for most independents, it's about 4 years. I don't know about you guys, but at Tombras, it's probably like 7 or 8 years.
Wonderful.
And so that goes back to the talent advantage of being an independent agency.
Yeah, we just 50% of our team has been with Zambezi for 5 or more years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have the same stats. And truthfully, it's amazing. It actually really reduces we became such an efficient agency because people they have the patterns. My nervousness as an owner is Canada has pretty strict, in a good way, employment rules. So if I have a downturn, I have a lot of severance to pay out. So everyone's celebrating all these 8-year anniversaries. I'm like, mother of God. But only I look at it that way. I don't share that, except for you, too.
I just remembered the stat. This is a legacy stat, so it'd be worse now. This is pre-pandemic, but the holding co's had 33% turnover in 2019, which means if like we were the 3 people on the account, it's like your account person, your creative, and your strategist. Statistically, if you hired us as your agency and you woke up 3 years later, none of us would be here. And so that creates a lot of the churn in the industry. And I think that churn is obviously higher now than it was back in 2019. And if we're all retaining our employees 7, 8+ years, that's an advantage for independence.
And I agree with the benefits of having your best players on the field for a long time. I mean, again, 19 years. I've worked with colleagues here now for more than a decade that I love. And the second that we get an assignment, we move quickly. We know exactly the positions that people play, and you can just boom, and there's no friction. So I agree with that. If anyone does GPT or Claude or whatever, that stat, and you get it, please shout it out. Let us know. Okay, moving on to some technology and AI. I'm sure people want to talk about that a little bit. There's no AI being talked about right now down the Crusette. So, okay, we know independents are nimble, creative, and unburdened most of the time by bureaucracy and red tape, right? As you get bigger, obviously that builds out a little bit, but it puts the independents in a strong position to actually put AI to work faster than the holdcos. So we're going to start with you. How are you seizing that advantage by being nimble and independent without all the red tape when implementing AI solutions?
Well, and like you said, everybody is implementing AI. I mean, that's just sort of like table stakes now. And I think the way a lot of agencies are looking at it is maybe not the best way, where they're figuring out which tool should we use. And if you do that, you're just sort of amplifying what you were already doing, and maybe you're 20% more efficient. And I think it's better to take a first principles approach. And, we have to look at things almost in like a Darwinistic lens with AI, and we can change how we're operating across every domain of the agency right now. And we can do that as an independent faster than a holdco. So we're not just buying AI tools and implementing them, making them proprietary. We're actually changing all of our workflows at the agency to operationalize them.
Gene?
Yeah, you mentioned we developed a proprietary tool. Again, we all know because we all run and work at agencies, we sometimes do a really shitty job at making us what stands out from us compared to others. We help brands do it so well, but then we literally can't help ourselves. So when you have the AI discussion, right, it's like, well, we need to be doing it, we need to be investing in it. And so really our approach was, what is the thing that we can do really that, again, emphasizes where we and types of brands we want to work with. And also, I think, just showcases that investment that is commiserate with an independent agency as well. So we developed a tool called the Brand Performance Gap. And again, what I mentioned is we work with companies whose best days are ahead of them, right? They're in the growth window and ready to go from middle market to enterprise. So really what the Brand Performance Gap does is it shows the gap where you have in terms of your product love, your brand love, and from a business standpoint. And it's a diagnostic tool that we help and monitor. And truthfully, it's a great new business way to start a conversation with a brand to see if we have the right fit. And so for us, I think this is just a great example for independent agencies because, again, we have limited resources. We can't do everything. You read the press and you think, oh, my God, we're so screwed. Everyone else is so much more ahead. But I think it's applying it in a way that is only really relevant for you. And I think that's where that brand strat lens that we are so good at applying on our clients, applying it to ourselves to really see where that, true white space can be.
That's a great answer. Steven, what about Fuse?
Well, we use it a lot. It's been a pretty interesting journey. We have a bit of a joke with our name, Fuse Create. So if you take the first two letters of Fuse and the first two letters of Create, we call ourselves fuckers. And all our swag is that. And then the team that I run for AI are called the Robo Fuckers. And we're getting there. So most strategy has now been restructured through massive amounts of. We're working with multiple different licenses. We're trying them all. So strategies heavily implemented it. Creative, it's very much used on the conceptual size. It's really helped us expedite and speed up the whole concept ideation phase. And clarity with barely anything we're doing with clients is final product AI unless they request it. But to me, I'm actually trying to spend more time on the back end infrastructure of the business to remove many of the headaches. So I'm trying to remove timesheet tracking. I'm trying to remove a whole bunch of finance steps that we're struggling with. So, but let me be clear, we're investigating and exploring every day. We've got a long way to still go. I also am very careful about how much I talk to my clients about it. I think one of our biggest strengths with our clients is we adopt technology all the time, but I almost want the clients to see us as the individuals. So it's really more about that one-on-one relationships that we build. So it's kind of more from behind the scenes. If they ask for it, we show. But it's really, I kind of want to be the non-technology. I want to sit with clients still. I'm trying to get that human connection strong. It is still one of our biggest advantages. So
I have this question's near and dear to my heart. All right, so we have a lot of junior level employees come in. They're utilizing our AI tools, and I have my own thoughts on this, but I would love your thoughts. What could take a 15-second phone call to answer? They're producing a 6-paragraph answer from Gen AI, which then floods into your email box. So to solve something in 15 seconds, it's taking 4 minutes to read. That's a downside of all these AI tools that I'm seeing right now. Are you getting ahead of that with some of the junior level employees that are coming in just on standard business practices on how to operate quickly, utilizing technology from 100 years ago, aka the telephone? Because I'm not seeing a lot of junior level employees wanting to use the telephone ever. Are you seeing that, experiencing that? How are you getting ahead of it?
I mean, casual dining is tanking as a category because Gen Z people don't want to talk to waiters. So if they can leverage AI to not talk to other people at the agency, I don't know if we can fight that. But I would love some tips from the other panelists on this topic.
That's why I'm asking. Are you doing anything about that?
I mean, I just think it's a constant training, and I think generational. When we entered into the industry, I mean, I know we were perfect, but we also required a lot of training too. So I just think it's we have to have an approach and a dedication to train, and I think agencies have also gotten away from that. Also, if you think about at the core of from training of having that, but it's generational, and we have to understand how all generations, I think there's 5 generations in the workplace right now, so that constant training mindset is important. And yes, the telephone is a wonderful invention.
It moves quickly.
The only thing I would add is we've hired 6 interns this summer, and it reminded me what a breath of fresh air youth is in your agencies. So if AI starts to remove those jobs, we are idiots not to find a way to make sure we're bringing them in to learn from them and to be motivated by them. So, but it is about training. So people know my example is if I hear you are dealing with a pricing issue by email, that's a Steven you don't want to meet. And I'm generally a nice Steven you want to meet. But it's just like the basics, just literally you schedule a 15-minute call. It is so, you don't deal with pricing with a back and forth on an email.
Sure.
Or a screw up. So.
But I think that's training.
It is all training.
I mean, Fallon called me to offer me a job, and I was talking to somebody on the other line. And I said to the guy at Fallon, I go, just hold on 1 second. I'm just going to get off this other call and come right back to you. And he was like, what are you doing? Why are you putting me on hold? So I think it's just, again, it's the openness and bandwidth to have, managers and developing great middle managers that can
We have a
talent.
large bank client, and our team goes in every Thursday because the clients are all there, and they all have fobs and key passes or whatever. And by just sitting there all day, they pick up extra briefs. And we use that as an example all the time of just get in front of your clients. You are literally there to take a problem off their plate, but you don't get that by a text.
Let me ask this question then, because the other side is they are vibing on all these AI tools, right?
Yeah.
If they're building something that is applicable to Tombras, what are you doing to take that and sustain it and continue it? Or are you not letting that behavior happen? Like, how are you?
We've got a product team, and probably like everybody in the room, we have vibe coded. And so you get with the product people, you get with the data security team, and then we go productize it and do it with clients. So that is happening.
It's awesome. Same on your side?
I would say, yeah, more on the production side for sure. Just really seeing if we should create our own platform. Should we test out others? Is it a combination? So yes, but it's an innovation mentality that you have to keep on trying new ways at it.
Steven, same thing?
Same
I love it. Okay. Clients increasingly want technology-forward partners when it comes to closing the gap on MarTech and media capabilities. Are you building it, partnering for it, buying it, and how do you make that call without becoming something you're not? Let's go, Steven, and then we'll go Dooley after that.
I'm doing a combination. So for a lot of stuff, especially on the media side, we'll partner. That's not my area to build at all. And I'm doing an acquisition right now, which is more on the influencer side. So I'm taking advantage of someone else built. So
Wonderful.
combination.
Awesome. Dooley?
I mean, I think the answer is all of the above, and this is a basis panel. So obviously, if you're in the media game, you've got to have key partners, right? But
Thank you for the shout out.
Yeah. But I mean, look, the best independent agencies are partnering with brands like Basis, but then they're also building. Sometimes we're co-creating ad tech. Sometimes we're white labeling. And I think it's a combination of all of those things because you've got to be able to walk in at least even with the holding co's on tech stack, or you will not get the media business. So I think the answer is all of the above.
Great point of view. Similar?
Yeah, similar.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, independent agencies. We're gonna do about 5 more of this, and then we'll have some time for Q&A, which would be fantastic. Independent agencies often talk about deeper client partnerships, right? But deeper doesn't always mean stickier. What actually makes clients stay, and what makes them leave? And Jean, we'll start with you.
I mean, relationships, our longest tenured pieces of business have the strongest relationships. And I think to what Stephen said earlier, all the offerings go around a creative core. And so at the end of the day, you're a creative company, and that is the thing that matters the most, and that's what keeps clients coming back. I mean, okay, you can have some issues on a production or some departments that are falling short, but if you're delivering creatively from an output, then it's worth from a brand side specifically to continue to figure it out.
Okay, Dooley?
I mean, I think it's 3 things that makes a client sticky and a relationship last. It's the results, it's the relationship, and it's the work. And depending on the day of the week, you could argue the importance there. But the truth is, when you own an agency, you're in the new business, and no matter how good the results are, how good the relationship is, or how iconic the work is, if the client goes through a merger and they get a new CEO and the stock price goes down for a day, everybody's disposable, which is why you've got to be out pitching. But at the same time, across our client base, we are trying to deliver breakthrough work every day and deliver results and outcomes for the clients. And if you do that, that's one of the secrets to having sticky relationships. And it helps to walk the halls and do some of the fundamentals, like Stephen mentioned too.
Fantastic answer. Similar?
Yeah, I mean, I think I usually know you guys have answered what you need to keep the business strong, which is, like, for me, it's fixation on product, but and relationship and everything. I would say where I can usually sense that there's problems looming is when they start asking about price, or they start questioning budgets. Because I find when they're really happy with the work and they're really happy with everything, budget discussions kind of go away. And when the budget questions start to come back, I'm like, something's off. And that means, what do we have to do? What do we have to lean in on? What are we missing? I have a client who once told me, you will know from me, dead honest, 6 months easily, probably more like 18 months before I fire you, because I'll be very transparent. I wish all clients were like that, but they're not. Other ones, new CMO comes in and it's just like, you guys are doing great work. Excellent. Everything's great 3 months later, but we're putting the account up for review, and it's just the nature of the beast sometimes. So,
Okay. Off the cuff question. Coolest celebrity you've seen walking around Cannes so far?
Let me think about that for a minute.
Okay.
I haven't slept much this week, but I have seen several celebrities.
Jean?
Well, we're hosting a dinner later on tonight. Draymond Green's coming to our dinner.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Love that.
I really, just these beautiful people. How about that?
I did
Everyone
see
here.
A-Rod at dinner the first night. That was
Wow.
probably the biggest.
That's cool. I rode a water taxi next to CJ Stroud and told him that my, favorite quarterback was Bo Nix. So that was fun. We had a good time. All right. Before we get into some Q&A, we're back in Cannes in 5 years, and indies have taken significant share from the holding companies. We'll start here and go this way. What went right?
Well, this is assuming that AI doesn't make work obsolete and we have universal basic income. But I don't think that's going to happen, because right now OpenAI is here trying to sell search ads to agencies.
I think it's just going to complicate everything, and we're all going to have stickier jobs to solve problems on personally.
No, I mean, I think a lot of the macro trends that we've seen are going to continue. I don't think we've seen the end of the holding co mergers. Dentsu famously has been for sale. That is public information. They want to divest the North America operation. A lot of people are speculating, what does the future of WPP look like? And so I don't know which way it's going to break. But if there are some more IPG, Omnicom level, extinction level events for holding co agencies, I think we could wake up 5 years from now and all the independents and worldwide partners could be a lot bigger. And wouldn't that be fun?
It would be fun.
Yeah, so I just think more independence. I think if you look at just even from the composition of Cannes and entries 5 years ago, you're seeing a significant shift in that already with this year, and I think 5 years from now it'll continue to be the same. I started an organization called Own It, which was really the idea of there's actually not data that tracks how many women-owned agencies there are in the industry, and so we set out to be the database for that. And what we're also seeing too is continued, really high quality women-owned agencies really get their shine in the industry. We have a podcast. That is really our goal, is to continue to showcase that there are, from women-owned businesses, lots of opportunity and lots of great talent. So I'm excited just to continue to see more of that.
Wonderful.
I think the scenario is still very strong for independence in the next 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised when we talked early about scale. I wouldn't be surprised if you see more of sort of consolidation of smaller agencies coming together to be bigger. So is it trying to replicate the holdco? No, it's probably maybe more like a mid-size. But I would say there is, going back, too small could be a problem, too large can be a problem. I think there's this zone where you're going to probably see 3 or 4 agencies coming together to make a bigger offering. You're also going to have a lot of independents who are going to be wanting to get their equity out, and how do they do it? And the idea of IPG or someone coming by and buying you is not really that appealing. So I think you might see an interesting rise of these mid-level, I wouldn't call them holding companies, but these mid-level collaborations. So you might see, I would say, some stronger, even more in this pace of larger, heftier indies.
We have a panel here of 3 of the most special and talented agency owners out there. And we have a bunch of people here. Yes, please, round of applause for this group. They are highly successful. They obviously know their shit really well. So now's the time for Q&A. Who has a question for this group, please?
Thank you. That was a great talk. So this is my first time in Cannes, and I think I'm hearing and I'm learning an awful lot, but I have no frame of reference as to whether or not this is a creative conference, whether this is a business conference, or a gathering, whatever you want to call it, ad tech. And I was just really curious to ask you guys, who probably have a better frame of reference of how it's shifted and how it's changed as indie owners, what are you seeing so far this week?
I mean, and the answer is yes, it is all of those things. Great question. I started coming to Cannes in 2018, and I don't think Cannes is that different now from what it was in 2018. But I remember that first year that I came, everybody was like, oh my God, it's changed. It's an ad tech conference now. So I did what anybody in the room would do. I asked ChatGPT last night. I'm like, wait, what year did Cannes change? And it was like, it's a range. And I'm like, be specific. And it said 2016 was officially the year that it became a half ad tech conference. And so in my chief production officer, Chad, he's been coming to Cannes for 20 years. And I'm like, well, okay, because he and I were having this conversation at dinner when I plugged it in. And I'm like, well, what the hell was it like in 2009 before that? I'm like, what was on the beach? And he was like, nothing. So evidently there were people in swimsuits on the beach in 2008 or 2007, and it became more or less what it is now, probably about a decade ago.
Yeah, me too. 2018 was my first year coming too. And the commercialization of it has just become immense. And again, I think depending on what your focus is, you can probably find it. And so for us, with the building of the media division, we have the creative conversations as well. But obviously, from a media partner aspect here, it's also then becomes really efficient to have those meetings as well. But yeah, I mean, production companies used to kind of own if they're not the beaches, but the parties and things like that. And like production companies, they're not really here anymore. And so I think that talks about the economics of what's driving and then the possibility. But I think it's now you're seeing it become more of a culture conversation as well. It's not just creative, it's culture. And I think we'll continue to have debates on where that continuum should be.
The only thing I'd add, and I'm in full agreement with what you both said, is the awards is still the anchor part for the creativity. So I think what's happened is instead of creative being pushed down, the thing has just gotten massively bigger. And so you need to buy the ticket, which I didn't buy, to get into the Palais to look at the work. And that's really where you see the power of creativity. Out here is where commerce is happening.
Hey guys, agreed. Great panel. I run a small 30-person agency. growth is on our mind. We do creative, we do social media, we do media all in-house. So it kind of feels sometimes like 3 10-person agencies together. There's a lot of levers to pull, you know, getting your name out there to grow, right? Getting your name out there, PR, winning awards, word of mouth, outbound sales. We're starting to kind of invest in building our own internal marketing. Curious, how would you prioritize the different ways in which you're growing the agency? Where do you put your focus? Where do you put your energy to go from 30 people to 50 people to 70? Not bigger than 70, but you know, 30 to 70 would be a sweet spot.
I'm happy to jump in there. So first of all, I have very fond memories of being a 30-person agency. I also have very scary memories of being a 30-person agency. So I feel your question. There's so many levers. I don't want to tell you this is the answer, but for me, my best success of getting from 30, 40 to 80 has been treating my business like a client. So building a brand house for the brand of Fuse Create, building a strategic plan that we review every 3 years, and investing in a PR. We have a brand manager 100% dedicated to our business. So everything from social media, all the own channels, to all looking for speaking engagements. And it is expensive, and it's kind of like just accept that. But if you want to double, for me, the success was the investment in treating my business like a client.
I've got my 2 answers. I think number 1, get a couple of great case studies where you line up real breakthrough work with business results. And if I think about kind of the different periods where we've grown the most, when you've got a couple of really powerful case studies that can move the needle in new business. And then I think the other hack when you're at the 30-person level is make some really big hires, which is scary because when you're a 30-person agency and you're looking at making a big hire, it's like, gulp, that's a huge percentage of the EBITDA. It's even potentially a significant percentage of the total revenue. But as I've got a couple of my top talent sitting in the room here, part of the secret of the success of our shop has been reinvesting in top talent, and that has paid off for us in the long run.
From a standpoint, I would just say, you know your business better than anybody else. And I think there can be a lot of noise, specifically when you come here with, oh, wow, they're doing it this way. They're doing it this way. I should do it that way. It's really more about what do you have the most conviction on of what you're seeing in the future, of what is going to drive the business moving forward. Maybe it's not services. Maybe it's a different approach. But I think this is a great place to connect what you're seeing to then what clients are going to want to have. I think that has been one of the secrets of why we've been able to continue to grow. And, you know, our name comes from the Zambezi shark, which is one of the most adaptable animals on the planet. It can go from freshwater to saltwater and is a great embodiment of the entrepreneurial ethos. But we have really kind of changed our approach in business investment every 3 to 5 years. So I think it's looking at through that increment standpoint of like what's working for you now might not be what's working for you in the future. But continue to know the fact that like you have to have the conviction in order to make that investment.
We have time for one more. Yep, right over there. Fantastic. Sorry, Ryan, I'll give this back to you.
Hi, I'm Clive Michon from the Alliance of Independent Agencies in the UK. We've got 120 agencies, and we've got an alliance in the Middle East as well, covering all the agencies, bringing in best practices. And the big thing that we're looking at the moment is a kind of the whole change in the business model, which is about charging based upon time versus value. Time is no longer a unit that can really work because it will just dissipate because of the efficiencies. How are you guys, because you're all coming from North America, how are you approaching time versus value?
I think you make it being about results and having it be work that's effective, and clients will pay for that no matter what the premium. And I agree with what Stephen says. When people start talking about price, then it becomes a different conversation. So what we've always tried to do is elevate our product to have it not be about time. It's not how the sausage gets made. It's about the impact that we have on your business. And that could be deliverable based. We could kind of specify certain team members that need to be on it, but you're making this a business investment conversation, not a time-based conversation.
It's a hot topic. I think there's a lot of people talking, trade pubs, clients, agencies, about how do you do value-based pricing. I'll tell you, I'm in the middle of a negotiation right now with a large brand in America that is unraveling their performance-based compensation with us because they think we're making too much money. And I would say counterintuitively, clients are still wanting staffing models and they're wanting to pay by the hour. Because they're very curious, intellectually they want to do value-based pricing, but then when you show it to them, they tend to revert back to the time-based models. And then in the rare cases that we get outcomes-based pricing, it typically works in the agency's favor, and then they try to unravel it, as I'm doing one of those right now.
That's so fascinating. You've helped them get to where they want, and then they're like, actually, just kidding, you know?
Well, y'all
So-
know how this works.
Yeah.
When sales are up, it's like, but we had a smoking hot promo, and we had a
Like-
great price innovation,
Yes.
and the sales team did this. It wasn't the marketing.
Yeah. It's when everyone's incentives are in the right direction, like that's good for everybody. But sometimes, yeah.
John Harris, CEO, Worldwide Partners. You have a comment?
Yes, and it's very biased, but because these guys we're on the same team, and we've all been to a few panels this week. This was smart, authentic, non-performative, and unfiltered, and this is the best session I've been in all week. So, thank you guys and Mike, great questions. Put that to the moderator too, and thank you, Basis, for having us also. Well done.
Give it up one more time for the panelists. They are smart and amazing. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to have a happy hour. There's a bunch of rosé on the back. Hopefully we do get the AC going. And yeah, maybe it's just me, you know. But please stay, join us. Again, the Basis Oasis will be open for the rest of the week from 9 to 5. 9 to 5. So if you need restrooms and water and that kind of stuff, this can be your home base. But thank you all for coming.